Hello everybody, and welcome back to another discussion video. In my last video, we talked a bit about WoW's early game and how it could be potentially fixed. We hit on dungeons and professions and a few other things. I got a lot of great feedback on that video, and people were more than happy to offer suggestions to how they think the game could appeal more to new players or individuals leveling alts. So today, let's continue on with our discussion all through World of Warcraft and hone in on that 1 to 60 questing experience, to be specific. That initial element of the game that will be a new player's first experience if they decide to start at level 1 rather than enjoying their free level 100. As before, keep in mind that everything you're about to hear is a series of opinions, so feel free to disagree with me and offer your own views and put them on the table. So the first thing is, why is the 1 to 60 questing experience so important in the first place? I mean, who cares, right? Well, many people are trying WoW today just like they've tried it in the past, and a lot are starting at level 1 to experience the game from the start, since maybe they think their boosted character might be a bit too complicated for them since they're such a high level. A friend of mine recently tried to play WoW, for example. He got his boosted character, but he ended up playing as a level 1 character instead because of this reason. Now, for somebody that does this, when they start to level a new character from level 1, this is the game that they're going to be exposed to, this 1 to 60 experience. They're not being exposed to raids or endgame PvP, but just questing in general and the world and the story itself. This is their first impressions, so what are they going to think? So the 1 to 60 experience is really important because for a lot of players, it is going to be where they're going to generate their first impressions of the game. Okay, so how were things in the past compared to now? Well, when World of Warcraft first came out, it introduced this very messy, yet capable questing system. You would get quests that would literally send you all over the world. You'd get a quest in Stranglethorn Vale, for example, that would say, hey, go to Tanaris. And you'd go there, and then you'd get a quest saying, go to Stormwind, and so on. Now, not every quest was like this, but there were a ton, and you tended to do a lot of traveling, which I admit made the world feel pretty big since you were out on the road a lot. Now, as you can imagine, this made leveling back in the day extremely slow for some people, to the point that individuals began to even sell leveling guides to help people in their experiences to get to 60 as quick as possible. So, was this system better in my point of view? Well, pros and cons. On the pro side, you have that very non-linear aspect to the questing. The world felt bigger due to the traveling, there were a lot of class quests to do, and there were plenty of quests that you would miss the first time and you'd get to experience when you'd go and level an alt. The cons, however, is that the system did take a lot of time to grind through, which I admit made a lot of people frustrated at times, including myself, until I realized the power of the leveling guide, back when I was still a new player to vanilla. Alright, so nowadays things are a bit different, obviously. For those that didn't play at the time, during Cataclysm, Blizzard revamped this entire 1 to 60 leveling experience into what it is today. However, there are some things that I think need to be expanded on. Whereas when World of Warcraft first launched, its questing was a very unlinear experience. Today it's very straightforward, and the questing tends to focus heavily on telling stories in the 1 to 60 zones. Now this is a good thing for new players, since I think it does introduce them well to the world of Azeroth. Silverpine is all about the war between the Worgen and the Forsaken, Ashenvale is all about the war between the Orcs and the Night Elves, and so on and so forth. That's great. But of course, for veteran players, well, once you go through the zone and see its story, there isn't really much to see anymore. Nothing surprising, and the cutscenes are just kind of a bit dull and annoying if you can't skip them. But the system is good for new players, but I think it is lacking something that the old system had. That is communication. A lot of the fond memories that people have of back in those ye olde yonder days is the fact that there were so many group quests in the game, and so many difficult and annoying as hell solo quests that demanded you get help from somebody. Many friendships, and I'm speaking for myself here too, were made because of the challenge in the world. It got people talking, and bonds began to create themselves. Now, some people say that Blizzard should fill the 1 to 60 experience with more group content, but personally, I think that would be pointless because there's so few people out in the world anyway these days. Cross-server technology did help a bit, but I don't think it helped as much as I think it was supposed to. I don't see that many people out in the world, but I don't know. Maybe I'm on a bad server. So, what could we do? Well, the key to the whole scenario is communication, so how do you get new players to open up to other players? Well, I think by simply putting them in the same environment as other players, you kind of create a lot of opportunity. So let me explain. One of the things that I would love to see in Legion, for example, is the class order halls somewhat being a part of the low-level questing as well. I know I've mentioned this before, but I think it would be kind of cool if a low-level paladin, for example, was able to visit his class order hall, see all the max-level paladins running around in their epic gear, and yeah. The first thing I think this might do is encourage new players to level up because they may say to themselves, wow, like, I want to look like that guy looks awesome. The second thing that I would love to see in this is class quests, even at low levels, that would introduce a new element to the open world. Maybe have some long-ass storyline that stretches from 1 to 100 where you, the low-level player, are helping the max-level players fight the Legion by gathering resources out in the world like bear asses or something like that. You're doing class quests, getting class-themed rewards, and well, I think that'd be awesome. And finally, the most important thing, by putting a low-level player next to a high-level player, this could encourage that low-level player to talk to that high-level player. If, let's say, they're confused by something in the game, they don't understand how to play the class properly, they don't really get the whole talent system, or whatever. Just kind of put them in the same environment. You're not really going to see much communication or bonds being formed with new players if they're just in this empty open world and all the max level players are just hiding on the Broken Isles or chilling out in their class halls. So maybe bring the two worlds together, I don't know. Another idea I'd really like to see, although I admit it's something that would have really big pros and cons attached to it, but I would like to see something in regards of Blizzard implementing the leveling scaling technology in Legion into the rest of the world. Now, if I remember correctly, I believe Ian Hazzikostas recently talked about this exact same thing on Warcraft's latest stream, but it would be cool if every zone worked just like the Broken Isles. So, picture this. If I'm level 100 in Tirisfal Glades, every mob is level 100. But if I'm level 24, every mob is level 24. Now, I'll say this. I don't have a damn clue how the math works behind the scenes when it comes to all this sort of stuff, but if they could pull it off on the Broken Isles, maybe they could pull it off in the rest of the world. Now, the reason I think this could be a cool idea is because in Legion there are these things called world quests that send you out to the different zones of the Broken Isles doing various activities and blah 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 for rewards that you use at max level. Now imagine those Broken Isles world quests being applied to everywhere. You could be getting a max level quest, for example, to go to Loch Madan and kill boars to get food for starving Timmy down the street. Now by doing this, the world would become more populated, or at least it would feel that way for a new player. New players would get to see other players while they level, max level players too, which would be cool. And the world wouldn't feel so empty. And with cross-server tech, it could work. Could work, maybe. I've also grouped up a few times with people in the Broken Isles who were at different levels than me, and the mobs scaled appropriately to match our group. Again, I have no idea how this works, but maybe could a low-level player, for example, help a high-level player with a group quest while they're out doing, their world dailies or whatever? What about that? What if a high-level player was doing a group quest, went to Hillsbrad Foothills, no one was around to help him, but there was a low-level guy, and he could say to him, hey, low-level guy, can you help me kill this giant Yeti? If we do it in a group, I'll get, my world quest reward, but you will also get experience and some gold as well for helping me. And the Yeti would scale appropriately to, a combination of both their levels or whatever, and yeah, if that could work maybe, if the tech would allow such a thing. I don't know. Now, obviously, there is a difference between, a 10 level difference on the Broken Isles and like a 90 level difference, but would it be possible? I don't know. Maybe that is how Blizzard could add more group content into the open world and get new players talking to veteran players, or just other players in general. Maybe. What do you guys think? Blizzard would just need to ensure that these world quests would stay relevant, and you would have a good reason to do them throughout the expansion. As it is now, it's my opinion that the world feels very empty and dead, and I think a lot of people that are going to try out WoW, especially with the Warcraft movie coming out, are just going to get turned off like a lot of my friends have. I think there are ways to fix this, but all it's going to require is a bit of love and attention from Blizzard. So what do you guys think? What do you think about the issue? What do you think about the 1 to 60 questing experience? Not dungeons, not any of that, just the questing and the world itself. Do you like my ideas? Do you think they're dumb as hell? Feel free to leave a comment below and tell me all about it. This is a discussion video, so leave your views, leave your opinions. I am reading the comments, and I will talk to you guys on my next discussion video where we're going to talk about heirlooms. See ya.